Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining today. So the awkward weirdness continues post US election. It's like the weirdest rabbit hole ever for me personally, because now I'm starting to recognize, based on different things that I'm finding online that other people are speaking about now, uh, that perhaps there's other things that I've been channeling and not recognizing. I laughed about it the first few times it came through, something about uh, a, disclosure as well as interconnectivity and communications with alien life. And I'll just put that right out there so that those of you that are not on that page can check out some other content. But today, I've decided to ask the channel to speak a little bit more plainly about how all of this has to do with each other at 111 on the timer here. So let's take a moment, synchronize our breath and intentions for a clear reading. Deep breath in, and then as you release that, release any fears, anxieties, worries, and dramas through the smoke to be transmuted, to uplift those energies and release what doesn't serve going forward. So I've got a few decks out that I'd like to get into. First off, out of the mixed deck, I have now 3 decks in there: the Medicine Heart, Kali, and Kuan Yin decks, all by Alana Fairchild mixed. And today we get all 4 of the first cards out being the Kali card. Directly below the one here, we have a Kuan Yin card, Weave the Future Golden. So, which is 8 immortals under that. It is the master number 44. And it's talking about our power of vibration to invoke the type of future for perhaps our 7 generations. We could look at that teaching for a little bit of information about we're here stranded on planet Earth, and we need to cultivate the earth to eat and to survive. We need clean water and air. And how are we good stewards for what is in our self-interest versus how are we not? So this is also beyond just stewardship of the environment and of ourselves. Part of that good stewardship is the etheric and astral realms, the 4th dimension that is full of all types of energetic, emotional, and otherwise, these projections, these alchemical projectiles, if you will, almost. And so what are we throwing out in the world? Are we blowing seeds of hope from our hands out across and, sprinkling our magic across that and cultivating the earth, kumbayaing all of our days? Or are we on the complete opposite extreme of doom and gloom and projection of the worst case scenarios? Are we constantly looking at everything, every cloud with a black lining, like Eeyore, like, yeah, it's a great day, too bad it's gotta end type of thing? And then when things get bad, it's like, yep, I knew everything was bad. Things are only a snapshot in time. And so part of weaving the future golden is to not sit there and just point at the problem and complain about it, but to be activated into taking strong, determined, and decisive action towards something that is so deeply ingrained in our values, that we are so concisely aligned with this. It's like it opens us up and it invigorates the Kundalini energy. We keep seeing these things as themes in the cards. So I wanted to talk about the next 4 here that actually were showing up as a preceding message from the divine. that we do, there goes the throat, that we need to trust, that we need to believe in the power and the hopefulness that with our activation and with our activation in alignment with all that is and all of those others, that we can inspire great change, that we can actually be the ones that are weaving the future in every thought, in every sentence and statement that we make. uh, and so I know this has been coming through. I have a sneeze that wants to come through. Some of this has been coming through with the way that we are battling friends and neighbors, and how everybody that is part of, not everybody, but there are many people gaining platform at a fever pitch, pointing fingers at something else, and myself included, pointing at cheating, which I still steadfastly believe that there is so much evidence of it that it seems a karmic sin to not speak about it or to not look at it. It seems ignorant. But in that vein, I still will listen to spirit and see what is going on. Like this morning, getting ready, part of my prayer was, yeah, gather and show us clearly what we need to know at this point, to know what the F is going on, right? It's definitely Alice through the looking glass right now. So, okay, we have 16 Mahakali, which came out the other day with a double 16, talking about that tower energy. Mahakali here comes with this multi-hand armed goddess. So she has what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hands. So she's one of the 10 wisdom goddesses, and you can see her with all of these various sacred tools, two of them being these long swords, one being the scimitar, the feminine sword that she uses to cut through any type of misinformation and so on. The lotuses, two of those. Her rattle, perhaps, the skull of her enemy that has not, it doesn't have the lower jaw, indicating that this was a nefarious player here that she is wrathfully subduing and taking care of. Part of the wisdom that she brings is to trust that we can keep our hands clean. It's not for us to go on our own witch hunts and continue to divide a very divisive issue that's come to pass. If we are only pointing fingers and thinking that the rest of our friends and family and neighbors are all evil and part of the plot, then we all become even further divided. So then it's every minority for themselves here. And so I want to say that this card here, the wisdom is all about moving beyond any types of illusions, that there's not evidence that we need to be hopeful and prayerful and vigilant and diligent in keeping the faith. Faith here came out. I haven't looked at any of these other cards, but this one flipped out face up. So number 18 here, Lalita Tripura Sundari, she talks about being guided to be able to look, I want to say look at the bright side. You know, we already talked about the cloud with the black liner, this doom and gloom. And I don't want to say that we are going to ignore our emotions or look at the bright side of racism. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's that we need to keep our vibration high. Instead of pointing and complaining at the issues, we need to be solutions oriented, and we need to not say that sending a missile is going to help us to find peace. And it's coming up again because just before going live, I went to turn off my ringer and do all this stuff, and I see that one of the main powers that be that are suspected for already tampering with everything that's going on here. There's this I'll call it a spitting match, where he's trying to take over another country. And then instead of us really being able to help the situation, right after the election, Biden authorized some missile sales to Ukraine, which were then deployed against Russia, which was obvious. So then we may as well have pulled the trigger ourselves, which is idiocy to me, an escalation instead of a diffusion attempt, uh, which maybe seemed satisfying in the moment, but um, it's not okay. And those of us that are watching this do not need to be fearful. I was watching that and it wasn't making me scared. He's threatening to use countermeasures and for us to toe the line and just let him do what he's going to do. This is the classic move of the guy behind the curtain puffing his chest and beating it. Okay, so looking at the bright side is, what can we do? What do we need to do moving forward? How do we circumvent things that aren't good for the future here, right? Um, we've also got this Tromonogma, which is an intense, vindictive, and violent type depiction where Callie looks like a demon herself and she has a plate full of the severed tongues of her enemies, indicating that she is completely shutting down and uh, rendering them ineffective. But it's also a warning about ourselves and our feelings of justification, of vindictive, resentful, and embittered heart space. And it seems like, oh yeah, you're talking about being good people, but right now I'm in this really deep dark hole. um, it's only us that can save ourselves from the deep black hole of the what's that? The never ending story keeps coming up. The Slough of Despond or something like that, where the hero's going on his horse through this swamp where the heavier you get, the deeper you sink, and you can sink underneath. And kids in my generation were were completely appalled that the hero's horse best friend on his journey succumbed to the darkness, and Atreyu barely made it through. And so there's that, as well as the various prophecies coming in as well. So part of this is like, I have the urge to block things. I believe that we can weave the future golden in every moment by manipulation, which is a strong, intense word that has a lot of negative connotations, but by simply manipulating the love force energy is one method of counter maneuvers to war, because missile for missile is not a counter maneuver. That is, fire meeting fire with fire. So how do we do it different? We have to, if we want a different result, then we need to do something else. We can't escalate and expect it to diffuse without ruining the morale of the other side, and so that's where we get into this US political spitting match and all of that. So there's something else here too. I wanted to just this Gori Devi card on the bottom here, number 43. We're talking about here, where does it say? She's the champion of the sweet souls with the fierce hearts who have been underestimated and passed over. So here we're talking quite a bit about more of the minority type of the diversity in this world, and how people, if they're identified with their role or with their skin suit or their ego identity on any level, we can feel marginalized. We can feel like, well, we're so busy talking about everybody else, but nobody understands where I'm coming from, or nobody listens to me. And so we get louder and then we justify something else, right? So she represents one who is gentle as the deer, the meek, and also has the potential to be ruthless as the lioness, who has the capacity within her awakened heart to rise, to overcome obstacles, to have faith without any evidence of victory, and to rally the spirit until the right moment to act and win is felt. She is nonconformity and the freedom to be one's true self. Recognize your own beauty and value, irrespective of whether another has the capacity to behold it at this time. You shall shine. And it talks in there about this very innocent feminine in a village. A demon comes and all these big, strong men can't take care of it. And they said in this that it took a woman of great purity. They called her the virgin in here, but also the wife. So we're not talking about a traditional meaning of the word virgin. We're talking about pure of heart. And so it's like one who has been through the alchemical fires of the dark night of the soul and who has emerged as, perhaps with that weave the future golden, as a light worker, as an intentional co-creator with spirit, and and so on. So let's get into these cards because I'm interested to see what's here. We have transformation number 53 here with this prayerful beingness. So yeah, okay. So I want to just real quick. Okay, on this bend, this very innocent, pure of heart individual rises up and she transforms into this very ferocious being, and she eradicates all of this evil. And then her husband is so scared of her, intimidated of her power and of her intensity, that he begs her to transform back into her meek little housewife status. And she does oblige him in this one. But then, it goes on from there about how she needs to sometimes rise back up when some of the youth in her village are doing bad things to an animal. And there's this need to learn about our lessons and to be able to say, oh, hell no, when the moment arises. And so with this transformation, we're asked to, if we must move into this vindictive bitterness energy to learn something from that emotional fluctuation, let it be so that we can understand where we stand as far as, are we agents of love and peace and clarity. So I keep picking up this deck, but I don't know that I want that one. Oh boy. Mount Shasta comes out underneath in the deck here. And this one is often talks about ley lines and things, but also recently, because of the depiction in particular and the state of everything, the U.S. Congress just had this UAP discovery hearing. And anyways, they basically just agreed that, yeah, basically all the conspiracies that we tried to debunk and ridicule the people that came forward about, all that stuff was kind of true. And there's a whole lot more that we don't know. P.S. They've witnessed these ships going in and out of the oceans, in and out of the face of the sun, in and out of the Mount Shasta area and through the mountains and things. And so there's this information that keeps coming forward about so much like aliens and things like that. So full spectrum. I think that this is part of the awakening process. I want to no, we'll go with this. Ether, the seamless, unspeakable. Some of the people that are channeling things are talking about this as well. Some of the prophecy and some of these other things about even the Hopi prophecy. If you don't go for the clickbait, I'm going to put one in the description box of this video if I can remember it. With an individual who actually went out and did her own research about things that were previous to newer, more modern developments. So we're talking about the unspeakable. So therefore, let us not vibrationally hold that resonance through anxiety or fear or depression or apathy. We must continue to be vigilant in being ones who are out here seeding love. I'm hearing the music real quick. I don't know if you can hear it. It's reaching me. from the other realms. It feels, it's almost like there's these whispers, and some of us here, we're truly the ambassadors of this new momentum, journey to wholeness. All right, I'm not going to show you all of this because of censorship. um, I'm seeing this as she's under the water. It sometimes comes through as the Sedna myth. Let's go ahead and give her a little shirt there. So part of whatever is going on, it has taken this shape because we need to have some type of transition, transformation in our system. It keeps coming through as um, the ability to advance into the next phase where the timelines start to separate. We've been entangled with timelines for some time, but I do believe not as any part of this being fear mongering or so on, but the souls that are incompatible with the incoming influx of vibrational resonance are they're going to be unable to continue to feel their sense of vitality. There needs to be an up leveling here, and so we're being challenged here to return to some type of faith. Oh my gosh, this here celestial, this card has been coming out ever since I got this card, talking about a convergence energy. And this is, I think now it's we've been talking about how that's an accumulation of all things that we have experienced as a soul in body. So it's transpersonal, transdimensional, multidimensional. It may have to do with many cross-cultural references and things that seem to speak through us. And instead of being nervous about social niceties, we need to lean into that and share information, I think, to reunify ourselves and to connect some type of a way. We need to educate each other. I'm seeing something about this world prayer. One of my friends and I were talking about this recently, and on the 1212 portal, I hope that people will be spending time to connect that way. But up until that point, don't wait for that point to do it. We can do that in the moment now. As something challenges us, perhaps we need to pull back our attention from things and to really get deep into our spirit. That is like, we keep being shown that with the 0 and the 1, that ultimately all things keep being self-correcting. And so, and with the golden rules, these universal rules that keep coming through, we need to have faith that when things look incredibly dark, that things are working out behind the scenes, and that in order to push forward that critical mass, we need to stay positive, and we need to harness the sacred rage and let it be a means of uh, sacred justice, not escalation. So taking a few more here. Innocence, yes, this purity. We are being asked to repurify our sacred center, our sacred temple, to go back into our meditative space, into the inner child, and ask ourselves, what do we stand for? How do we respond? How do we react? And what are people's inalienable rights versus otherwise? Because I think that too, with that never ending story, it keeps coming through with those sphinx like uh, statues, and the hero has to go through the center. And if you're not pure of heart, then you get vaporized basically in the story. Not that that's what's going to happen. However, it's like to be connected to that sacred space of actually allowing that alchemical process to serve the highest good. Is like, we can be so mad at a betrayal and still wish that that individual understood the basis of love instead of otherwise. And yeah, this all sounds like some kind of cat poster suddenly. Let's keep going. Okay, yeah, all right. So the cards say what the cards say, right? Love and worthiness. So there's this aspect of feeling misrepresented, not heard, not seen, not respected. We need to get out of our over identification with being marginalized to understand that we are not only worthy of love, but that we are love itself coming in. And when we can embody that love force energy, when we are worthy of that, the critical mass of love force energy in this world is truth. So let's save these ones. I want to get into some of the code cards. First one out is communication. I'm not surprised by that. I feel like that we are going to be getting communication and more information about these UAPs and all this other information, and that those of us that have the fearlessness, the courage um, to speak up about the things that are true in this world. Like, so for instance, it keeps coming up like, did Trump cheat? I think we're asking the wrong questions. It's not necessarily did he cheat, but did their side win because of all numbers of interference and lack of transparency? Well, even for that matter, they even transparently told us what they were going to do through projection and so on. And so, yeah, it's we need to stop blaming and just create the solutions. But we are being told that we can keep our hands clean, remember? So all we need to do is to believe, to allow ourselves to believe in the evidence in the pit of our stomach that tells us that something ain't right. And when we telepathically believe something as a people, then it becomes reality. It shows itself. And so, with this ether and the Mount Shasta and this return to wholeness, I feel like they're not only are they watching the earth and keeping us safe from something that is trying to interfere with something quite at the extreme basis on this earth, um, that we cannot be taken, our free will can't be taken away from us. And so we have to be complicit. We have to allow it. And here we're being told uh, to bring forth the truth in some powerful ways. Yeah, perception is under the deck. What do you believe? Allowance and perception of integration and universal love. Yeah. So if you believe that this is a dangerous, cold, and careless universe, then that's what you're projecting. Your perceptions are being allowed to infiltrate and influence the world with more darkness and doom and gloom. But if instead you're integrating universal love into your own heart, your own love, and your life and your community, then the perception there is also going to be exponential. So communication and coherence, 13 and 14. Interesting. So we need to be able to understand what's being communicated to us through those perceptions here. We need to understand the mass hypnosis and how brainwashing occurs by choice by little minuscule choice, and to understand what's being demanded of us here, and to understand how we need to appropriately communicate, not only with our own self, with our own higher power, with our own sense of faith and purity and justice, and that all beings are worthy of love, even some of them that have been awful. They're awful because they're sick, perhaps. It keeps coming through that way. And it brings up a lot of mixed ego feelings for many of us. Oh, I'm hearing that song, If You Believe in Miracles. I think it's from way back in the day before my time. And it's reminding me that it was also used for the Ronald McDonald thing in like the 80s or 90s. And it was something about you always have a friend wearing big red shoes. And look at the whole clown car and the circus that is going on in front of us. There's some type of miracle here that's moving forward. I just need to have a couple more cards. Here we have synergy and magic. The way that our magic works together with others and the way that people are communicating. Like so many of us from the beginning have said, where's everybody that's not celebrating right now? They were all so completely on board with it, and there's very few of them. Yeah, what does your consciousness tell you? We're at the end of our video here. I think that we get the gist of it. I do want to see this card that wanted to be shown. Yeah, the Enchanter. As you speak, so therefore it is. And so we need to be very consciously aware of what we're calling into being. Are you calling for World War III with your friends and neighbors? I'm not. I have so many friends that have been part of this sickness, and some of them are more acquaintances, but we need to reach everyone and pull everybody up if we are able to at this time. But it is most important to keep ourselves out of the lower vibrational resonance. And so if that takes staying home from Thanksgiving for some of you folks, then so mote it be. So any last messages? If we could have Spirit delay the message stopping, some DIY cards. So the marriage card coming out awkwardly. Taurus, diamond code activation, the ability to transmute, transcend, and create some type of crystalline energy from the charcoal roots and beginning, turning a lesser component into a crystalline gemstone. 2222, lots of number synchronicities. This one is about coming together, working together. We've got synergy of magic here and consciousness. There are past life influences here, and we need to reassess our busyness, clear our schedules perhaps, to be able to listen deeply within for the next step to move forward, and prioritize our goals at this time, and to take quite seriously whatever we're being activated and inspired to take action towards, especially to do with world peace and all of those things. Now we have Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. I see you in my future, and I think of you all day long, all of the people in my world, and I send you all love and clarity and protection. And we're all out here being guardians for each other. Trust issues. It's hard to keep the faith when things are being shown up in a certain way. M, N, O, or P might be some initials that we need to give attention to. We do have Musk here. Who else? We've got a new moon coming up on December 1st, and this will hopefully help us to realign and spark some new potential to sow seeds for something else. You already know something, and it's time to trust your gut instincts about some type of deception or